Hi Lisa, so let's do a walkthrough of the garage and yard. I think we did most of this when you were here, but just so you have record of it. So first of all, I've cleaned out two shelves here for you to use. Here's just some golfing, camping, fishing gear. Honestly, if any of this you want to use, help yourself. On this second shelf is where I put the air conditioner when I take it in, like I've described in the document. When you're ready to do all the winter checklist items, let me know. I've got a buddy who's going to come help you do all that stuff. There's the recycling bin, which goes out on the street along with the trash can in which you use the purple bags. We put it out Wednesday evening for Thursday morning pickup. This is a tote for bringing firewood, so we usually just leave it here on this screw or nail, and then you can bring firewood in as needed. The remaining firewood is all yours. This is the big roof box that we're putting on our car to move with. The ladder and the wheelbarrow will stay here. There's this wooden box here that has some kindling, not a ton in it, but honestly, once fall comes and it starts getting windy, dead sticks fall from the trees all the time, so you can just throw them in this box from time to time and use them as winter kindling. So I'm going to be taking down the hot tub in the next couple days, so this will all be shut down. But just one thing I wanted to point out here, when leaves come down in the fall, if you wouldn't mind, you don't need to do it super thoroughly, but just taking the leaf blower and blowing in through here and here and here and just kind of getting them under the fence so you can sort of collect them on the other side. Again, doesn't need to be super thorough. I just don't want this to be a big leaf bin when I get back. We're going to have a padlock on that fence and leave this door shut. The keys to both the door and the padlock will be sitting here on this shelf. Some more stuff I haven't yet cleaned up. Let's see here. The workbench, I'm just going to leave it like it is here. There are tools here if you ever need a screwdriver, a pair of pliers or something, help yourself. Just put it back. So this is the battery for the weed whacker and the leaf blower. We're going to leave it here on the workbench. When you start using the leaf blower, it'll go through the battery pretty quick, but it charges up super quick. And as I mentioned, if you could bring that inside to store it for the winter, down in the water heater room, leave it plugged in over the winter so the battery doesn't get super icy cold. Here along this wall are the snow shovels and the rakes and the blower and the weed whacker. And here is the bagger attachment for the lawnmower. Somewhere over here, I think, on this little shelf is the side eject attachment. Here it is. I'll probably put it over by the, actually, I'm just gonna set it right there for you. So as I describe in the document with clippings, if you mow the lawn often enough, you can just mulch them right in, which is how the lawnmower is set up. But if you need to bag or side eject and then rake clippings, those are the attachments for that. All right, the mail comes in the box right there. We mentioned before, in the winter time, whether or not you put down any salt is completely up to you. We always would salt right around the door and maybe a little bit around the corner just for the letter carrier. Whatever you do, don't put salt on the pavers there, just on the asphalt. So this space here to the left of the driveway is where the leaves will get stored when you rake them. Oh, by the way, back to the garage. There's a tarp sort of in between the wood pile and the workbench shoved down in here that you can use to rake leaves onto and then just drag them and dump them in that spot when you're ready to have them picked up. All right, so we'll go around this left side. So the hardest part for the leaves is frankly along this fence. So I usually go to this back corner and take the blower and just blow them all along the fence as much as I can. This car obviously won't be here, and you can blow them down to that pile It'll probably take a couple of batteries worth of leaf blower to do it. But again, for the rest of the grass, some combination of rakes and blower, it's up to you. So we mentioned, mowing, just as close as you can get to this back hedgerow is fine. Like I said, I'm more concerned about the health of my lawn than how pretty it is. For trimming, weed whacking, just along this fence and along this rockway around the corner, and then the rock wall in front that I'll show you. When I walked through before with you, these trees needed to be weed whacked, but my son and I put mulch rings around them, so now it's just mowing around the mulch rings. And you don't need to weed whack anything around the house because there's rocks all around it. So this little patio here, you're welcome, obviously, to use the Adirondack chairs to have a fire pit. If you see the fire pit, there's a dome that is upside down to keep the water out of it. So if you want to use it, you just take out that dome and flip it upside down. There's the screen. Help yourself to a fire pit, use firewood, whatever. Just when you're done, dump the ashes. I should show you where that is. I mentioned in the document quite a bit where to throw ashes, yard waste, small amounts of yard waste, not all the fall leaves or anything, but this is that back corner here. So, for dirt and ashes and sticks and small amounts of yard waste. Anyway, so when you're done with the fire pit, just make sure, you turn that thing back upside down so it doesn't gather water and rust. Use the deck, like we mentioned. So the Adirondack chairs we want put in before snow flies. If you can fit all this in the garage, that's going to be way easier for the friend of mine. But if you're going to end up putting 2 cars in there or don't think you'll have space, then you can go through the bulkhead, put them in the basement if need be. For the grill, I'll probably make a separate video on that, or maybe just wait for you to call and ask me to describe it for you. In this box is the cushions for the rattan furniture. Just make sure to put them back when you're done. I don't want them to get wet and scuzzy. This does not need to be moved in for the winter. You can just leave this right here, just the wooden stuff, which is that table and the Adirondack chairs. Also in the winter checklist is bringing in the hose. This hose is impossible to get all the water out, so this will definitely need to be brought into the basement, with maybe the edges of the hose, dripping into the sump hole. But again, I've got a buddy coming who will help you with that. I mentioned in the document the order in which the leaves fall. It's these white birches in the back. Those are pretty much the last to fall. The big locust here is toward the end. And as I mentioned, it's a very messy, it's a gorgeous tree, but it's a very messy tree. It's really hard to rake these leaves, so I do what I can. But toward the end of the year, I'm definitely going to make some passes on the ground with the bag on the lawnmower just to get the most of the leaves up. So again, we keep the health of the grass. Again, property lines here are obvious. So I mentioned also in the video, and I guess I got to go back and show you that too. There's 2 areas where we sort of let wildflowers grow. Here in the front, from that quince to these lilac. So in here, it's really cool during the spring and summer and fall as different flowers come up at any given time. I'm not going to make you do this, but when everything's dead in the end of October, beginning of November, toward the end of when you're doing leaves, if it's possible for you to take the weed whacker and just, clear that, knock that down and throw all that waste. It's less than it looks like right now. It's just crazy overgrown, but most of that just dies away. Usually just try to take the bulk of that material and add it to the leaf pile. And it's the same thing with the little wildflower stretch back here on the other side of the locust, right? Just this corner of the house here, same thing. If you are feeling like you want to help and just give me a little weed whack in here and clear that material out, put it with the leaves. Also in the realm of, if you feel like doing something on a nice day, if you want to walk around every now and then and just pull some weeds out of the mulched areas, that's great. You don't have to, but, you know, maybe just something to do on a nice fall or spring day. Let's see, anything else? I just want to walk you down to the rock wall here. So again, the one lawnmower hazard I mentioned, I think I showed you this before, right here in between this evergreen and the house. This is just a tad too tall to run over with the mower. You can get close to it. You can tell I don't even weed whack it. I don't really care. Nobody can see it. This can be, you know, pulled for weeds every now and then. And then trimming wise with the weed whacker, when you do it, which doesn't need to be that often, on either side of the rock wall, just this stretch to the quince here, and then along the other side, all along to the end, there's a little rock wall over here too. Again, not a huge deal. When you do fall and spring cleanup, along this rock wall, leaves gather. I want to try to get them up certainly by spring cleanup, otherwise it kills the grass. There are some lilies down here at the end, you know, so you can see where it's overgrown. Here is where my neighbor's property line is, but in here there's some lilies that we don't really want. I've just been mowing over them. You don't have to if you don't want to, no big deal. Here's that wildflower thing, it's really pretty. But that's, you know, what I was mentioning. Oh, by the way, in the fall there'll be blackberries here. Help yourself. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. Again, mulched areas for pulling weeds if you feel like, under that tree. So I mentioned this maple tree is the first to drop. This drops really early, and, you know, within about a week and a half stretch, it goes from fully leaved to no leaves. And there's a lot of leaves on this tree. So basically that tree and whatever else falls around the same time in the pile here is probably the first leaf pickup that you can coordinate with Bob across the street. And then the second one is basically when that big maple on that side has dropped, that will represent the majority of the leaves. So that, and then whatever is fallen in the backyard and whatever is fallen over here, grab as much of that as you can, and that's the second pickup. And like I said, hopefully what's left is just the straggler leaves that can be put on the waste pile in the back. All right, Lisa, let us know if you have any questions. I know it's a lot, but thank you.